Welcome to Spiritual Minefield. Today we're going to look at, is it true that Jesus didn't want to die on the cross? Stay tuned. So we're going to go to Luke chapter 22 and see the phrase when he tells the Father, if you're willing, take this cup from me. Basically, take the cup of suffering or the cross. So was Jesus saying, Father, I do not want to die for the sins of the world. I do not want to die on the cross. Was Jesus saying that? Is that what that means? So we're going to look at that. So before we go to that verse specifically, we're going to start in verse 39 for context. Jesus went out as usual to the Mount of Olives, and the disciples followed him. When he came to the place, he told them, pray that you will not enter into temptation. And he withdrew about a stone's throw beyond them, where he knelt down and prayed, Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me, yet not my will, but yours be done. Okay, so that's a verse that we're going to highlight, that we're really going to look at. All right, so verse 43. Then an angel from heaven appeared to him and strengthened him. And in his anguish, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat became like drops of blood falling to the ground. Okay, so first of all, we're going to look at the word here. Where is it at? Is anguish. Okay, this word here, anguish in the Greek. So let's go here. And the Greek word for anguish is agonia, where we get the word agony from, which means agony, to struggle emotionally. And in Luke chapter 22, it means that Jesus felt the pressure of the physical suffering he was stepping into, knowing full well the intensity of pain he was about to feel. So that is why Jesus prayed, Father, take this cup from me, not my wills, but yours. But did Jesus really want the Father to take away him going to the cross, meaning to find another way to die for the sins of the world? That is a no. Okay, and I'm going to show you this, and we're going to go to John 12. Okay, so let's go to John chapter 12, and I'm going to show you this. In verse 27, it says, now my soul is troubled. This is Jesus speaking. And what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour? No, it is for this purpose that I have come to this hour. So here you see, Jesus is saying, I'm not going to ask the Father to save me from this hour. What hour? The hour of his crucifixion. You know, everything that going to take for him to be on the cross, because before he goes to the cross, he's going to be mocked, he's going to be beaten, he's going to be scourged, and then he's going to be crucified. So you see here, he's saying, Father, save me from this hour? ? No, it is for this purpose that I have come to this hour. So then here Jesus is saying that he will never ask the Father to save him from going to the cross, because that is the purpose why Jesus came. He came to be our sacrificial lamb. So then when you go back here, why did Jesus say, Father, if you're willing, take this cup from me? Number one, you could tell by just reading John 12, he's being rhetorical. It's almost like, let's say you're going to take a test and you go, oh man, I don't want to take, man, do I have to take the test? But you're saying that rhetorical because you know you got to take the test and you're going to take the test. It's just out of anguish or out of not a desire to go through the process. You're saying that. So here, Jesus says this, number one, if you look at this after he prays that, what does an angel comes and look what it does for Jesus. Then an angel from heaven appeared to him and strengthened him. And the reason why the angel strengthened Jesus is because Jesus was going to go through a physical pain. He was going to go through something so tough that physically Jesus knew exactly what he was going to go through. The torture and the pain it was going to be horrific. Jesus, being God in the flesh, knew exactly how the pain was going to feel, every stroke that was going to hit him, every slap, every punch, everything, and especially the nails. And then after that, the spear on his side. So Jesus knew that in detail, what he was going to go through. Very, very painful. So then here you see that when he says, take this cup, he was being rhetorical. He knew that he had to do it. And he knew that was the reason why he came. Now, I'm going to share another verse that literally says that. Okay, so we go to Matthew 26, starting in verse 50. Friend, Jesus replied, do what you came for. Then the man stepped forward, seized Jesus, and arrested him. At this, one of Jesus' companions drew his sword and struck the servant of the high priest, cutting off his ear. So this is Peter protecting Jesus from being arrested. And Jesus was being arrested and then taken to the process of trials and a kangaroo court, pretty much. And then they were going to give him to Pilate to be crucified. So this is the beginning of Jesus' arrest and the process for him to go through the crucifixion. So Peter gets a sword and then tries to protect Jesus. And Jesus says, don't do that. And then you're going to see what Jesus says here. In verse 52, he says, put your sword back in its place. Jesus said to him, referring to Peter, for all who draw the sword will die by the sword. Are you not aware that I can call on my Father, and he will at once put at my disposal more than 12 legions of angels? Jesus could have called the Father, and the Father would have sent him 12 legions. That's about 12 times 5 times 5,000, like what, 72,000 or something like that. Angels coming to his disposal. If one angel can destroy, in the Old Testament, one angel destroyed or killed 185,000 Assyrians. Imagine all these angels. It would have wiped them out. It's just no contest. But Jesus here is saying that if he wanted to, he could have prayed to the Father to rescue him, and he would have sent all the angels, or a lot of angels, 12 legions, to rescue Jesus. But then look what Jesus says in verse 54. But how then would the scriptures be fulfilled that say it must happen this way? As you could see, Jesus knew that he had to go to the cross. It has to happen that way. And especially with everything that entails. So then when he says, back to verse, to Luke 22, verse 42, Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me, yet not my will, but yours be done. He was just speaking out of anguish, out of the, from the flesh, what he was going to go through. Jesus wasn't, his faith didn't dip in the Father because, Jesus is God in the flesh, so that cannot happen. Jesus wasn't thinking twice about dying for the sins of the world. This is just a phrase, or just to show you that Jesus was also human, meaning he was 100% God and 100% human. And the human side of Jesus, meaning what he was going to go through, he's showing you here, he's teaching us something here. In verse 42, this is what he's teaching us today. He's teaching us that when you're going through something very, very terrible, and you're saying, Lord, please rescue me, but not my will, yours. Basically, you're entrusting yourself to God himself, to Jesus Christ. He's showing you that when you pray to the Father, and you're going through something very, very tough, you ask the Father, Lord, if this is your will for me to go through it, then so be it. Rescue me, but not according to my will, but according to your will. But if I have to go through it to be refined, to come out stronger, to do something for you that I cannot do without going through this, then let your will be done. So here Jesus is showing us, no matter what we're going through, even though it's very tough and very hard, you must give your life or leave your situation in God's hands, who knows exactly what he's doing. So this is just to model that no matter what, God knows what he's doing, and you must entrust your life in the situation to his hands. So this is telling you to trust in the Lord, and it doesn't matter how bad it is. God is going to help you. You could trust in a God that cares for you and wants the best for you. But sometimes for you to grow, to get stronger, you got to go through pain. That's the only way you could grow, is through pain, through suffering. Then the result of it will be outstanding, because you're going to do so much for the Lord that you couldn't do unless you went through the process. So here Jesus wasn't saying that he didn't want to go through it, because we read the other passages. This is just rhetorical. Thank you for listening.